Hello, welcome to CGTN. This is our special coverage on the two sessions, China's annual political season. I'm Pan Deng in Beijing. The first session of the 13th National People's Congress will open here in the Chinese capital on Monday. Representing all walks of life, about 3,000 deputies from around the country will have their voices heard over the next 2 weeks. In about 30 minutes, we'll take you live to a news conference ahead of the opening of this year's NPC session. An NPC spokesperson will brief the press on key issues which are due to be discussed this time. For more insight, I'm joined in the studio by Professor Zhao Zhongxiu and Mr. Edward Lehman. We'll be talking to them in a short while. Now let's get back to the upcoming major event. For more on the NPC press conference, let's cross live to our reporter Hona in Beijing. She's been following this event very closely. Hello Hona, give us a sense of the atmosphere at where you are and what could be the key focus of this year's press conference.
Hello, Pan Deng. Well, in just half an hour, 13th National People's Congress will hold its very first press conference. As you can see behind me, this is literally a battlefield for media outlets. Reporters from both home and abroad is trying to get the best position. They woke up really early, and the announcement just now said this time around it will be different because there will be no, they don't allow any occupation of the seats. So whoever came in first will get the best position. So reporters from both home and abroad, they're trying to get the exclusive interviews, the best shots. So this is literally a battlefield each year for the reporters. And also, I talked to many of my familiar friends from the media. Their focus this year will be new faces. Not only will we see over 2/3 of the newly elected NPC deputies, but we'll also see a newly elected NPC spokesperson. Well, we don't know who he or she is, but he or she will be the 8th National People's Congress spokesperson. And since the first press conference was held, the China's legislative body held its very first press conference back in 1983, there have been 7 spokespersons. Many of them have unique personalities, and one of the most familiar faces is the 12th NPC spokesperson Fu Ying. She's known for her friendly and elegant style and down-to-earth way of talking to reporters. She often referred to her personal experiences when communicating with reporters. I remember last year when she answered questions about air quality, she said she also bought protective masks for her own family members. And contrary to her predecessor, Minister Li Zhaoxin, who served as the 11th NPC spokesperson, Minister Li served as the Chinese ambassador to the United States. And he's well known for his witty and humorous language style. He likes to make jokes with reporters, and he would like to quote Chinese poems and the Constitution. So whoever the new spokesperson is, definitely he or she will face very tough questions from the media. Well, each year, China's defense budget growth will be dominating the headlines from both across the globe. And last year, China has constrained its defense budget growth for 2 consecutive years. In 2016, it was 7.6% increase, and in 2017, it was 7% increase of the defense budget. So we're waiting to see the figures this year. But according to my experience, each year, as soon as the defense budget growth has been announced, it's been dominating headlines across the globe. Well, besides a defense budget growth figure, anti-corruption, environmental issues, and this year especially the amendment to the Constitution, as well as China's new anti-corruption body, the National Supervisory Commission. I guess many reporters will ask a lot of questions on that. For example, how the commission has been functioning and how it's electing its members. So these are all the questions the new spokesperson will be answering. So we'll talk to you later after the press conference. By then, we'll know who she or he is. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Hona. Keep us updated. Our reporter Hona at Great Hall of People in Beijing. China's National People's Congress is the top legislature and the highest organ of state power. Besides making and amending laws, it elects China's president and appoints heads of state bodies. Every year, the NPC holds a plenary session. 2,980 deputies from across the country have been elected for this year's session. They are representatives of various communities, including farmers and workers. 15% are from ethnic minorities, 25% are women. The tenure of NPC members is 5 years, making 2018 an election year as deputies of the 12th NPC and their incumbency. That's a large number of lawmakers elected, but how are they chosen to speak for their communities at a top legislative body? Zhou Ying explains.
How do lawmakers of the highest organ of state power get their positions? Well, there are two types of election, direct and indirect. While deputies to the county and township levels People's Congresses are directly voted in by adult members of the public, and deputies to the People's Congresses above the county level are elected by deputies at the level immediately below. It works its way up the ladder of power and at the top. Nearly 3,000 deputies are elected nationwide every 5 years. They come from various walks of life, yet share the same belief: to stand for the people's interest instead of acting for the rich and powerful. Let me give you a few examples to show how they act as the best fit to speak up for their people. One of the deputies that we recently interviewed is Li Weimin, a reputational respiratory physician and president of West China Hospital. Elected from Sichuan province, an area that's in the midst of his fight against poverty, Dr. Li is going to submit a motion on making high-quality medical resources in big cities more accessible to rural areas. There have also been deputies from the grassroots level who aim to improve the welfare of migrant workers and farmers. Women deputies who call for greater female representation, and heads of the state-owned enterprises who strengthen economic reforms. Each year, they gather in the great of the people in the heart of Beijing. While the motions NPC deputies submit are legally binding once adopted, they also pass laws, review the government work report, as well as its plans and budgets for the year ahead.
For more insight into that, let's talk to Professor Zhao Zhongxiu and Mr. Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start with the makeup of this year's NPC deputies. I got some figures: 2,980 deputies this year. Most of them are newly elected. Only 770 are re-elected. What do you make of the representation and sector distribution this year, Professor?
Well, for the new term of the Congress, this almost third, fourth the new members that were elected, and actually they represent widely of the communities. And it's a very rigorous procedures to select these the deputies, and from the even from the grassroots we have this election, and over 95% of the people who have the right to elect their deputies, and we have the procedures to them, and we can see these deputies they represent all around of the communities, from for the women, from minorities, from business, from the scientists, and whatever, social workers, and of government agencies, the business managers. So then they demonstrate that they have the capability to act as a lawmaker, and they propose lots of the very important things. And before they make their proposal, they have made lots of investigation, the hearing from all the people. So then they can represent, and then they have the other to support their proposals. So this is these China's democracies for raising the question to the top.
What's your take, Mr. Lehman?
I think it's interesting to note, because you've got 25% women. The American Congress only has less than 20%. It's about 19.8% women. So that they're above, and so it's it's all diverse as well. I mean, obviously Hong Kong has its own way, in Macau, of electing people to the NPC. The Army selects its own. And there's a lot of thought and representation. I think it's a good process, and it's moving. It's exciting. It's the world's largest parliament, and trying to manage this for the world's largest population is a difficult task, but it's one that's done well every year, for sure.
And gentlemen, there is a famous motto upheld by the Communist Party of China: seeking truth through facts, and CPC believes that the party should move ahead according to the development of the time. So in this context, what do you make of the constitutional amendment this year?
Well, this marks the new era for the future, and for the proposal from the CPCs that they have over 21 issues to amend the constitution. So this to keep the track with the development, and since we set the target for for the next 35 years, and we have the very near objective in the 2020, and then for the mid 2035 and even 2050. So then how to implement this strategy and also achieve this goal, so that we need to have the new bodies.
Just to put it in perspective, there's been a lot of kerfuffle with regards to foreigners trying to interpret the changes to the Constitution, and I just would like to remind the viewers that about, I don't know, every year we have 200 amendments that are proposed to the Constitution of the United States, okay? There's only been about 33 or 34. Some of those have been repealed. So, I mean, the issue about the amendment to the Constitution, has brought a lot of attention. But this is business as usual for any parliament, and they're going about it in the correct way. But, I mean, they're looking at things like the elimination of term limits. We're looking in the United States of trying to enforce term limits. So, I mean, these are the age-old things with regards to parliaments, and I don't see it as any big change.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be getting back to you. You're watching a special live coverage on China's political season on CGTN. Stay with us.
The biggest annual political gathering in the world's most populous nation. Some topics to deliberate and discuss. A new state leadership lined up. A draft revision to the Constitution. From March the 3rd, CGTN takes you right to the heart of Beijing for a behind-the-scenes look at how 5,000 political representatives and advisors get things done. And how their decisions can have a ripple effect across the world. Join us on CGTN for an insight look into the two sessions 2018.
Welcome back to our special coverage on China's annual political season. The 13th National People's Congress will open its first session on Monday, and ahead of that, it'll be holding a press conference in about 20 minutes in Beijing. Before that, some overseas expectations now. Ahead of this year's two sessions, the UK Treasury's Belt and Road envoy Douglas Flint spoke to CGTN. He praised China for its recent achievements and shared his vision for the two sessions.
The changes in China are staggering in terms of infrastructure, in terms of sophistication, in terms of technology. That China believe very much in globalization and a shared future of benefit with all other countries in the world, and Belt and Road is clearly part of that. I think there was also a very strong recognition that there were challenges in China that needed to be addressed, but also some very powerful statements around the reduction of poverty, around the addressing pollution. And so it was, I thought, a very positive message coming out. Managing the risks within the Chinese economy, moving to a more consumer economy, moving from volume to value to higher value services. I would expect all of these to be strong elements.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has talked extensively about improving the country's manufacturing quality and taking pride in products made at home. One young entrepreneur in eastern China is trying to carve out a niche in the crowded world of electric guitars. Sean Kellips has more on the efforts of a Chinese guitar maker looking to make it onto the world stage.
Raw materials. Handmade in a guitar factory in Tongwu, a suburb of Weifang in eastern China. It is all part of a well-crafted, ambitious dream. Production that hopefully culminates with the sweet sound of success. And this is the finished product. It's called a Shengzi guitar. It's not just made in China, it is created here. It may sound like a subtle difference, but it's an important one.
Yeah, actually he did a lot.
The young man with a vision is Jason Jia.
It's really hard, like from beginning.
It is not going to be easy to succeed in a crowded international market.
First, you have to like think how to let people know the brand, not like to sell the product. So give them some like details about where I'm from, where are we. So what are we doing?
Jia says his Shengzi guitars fit in with President Xi Jinping's call to improve and emphasize Chinese quality construction, as well as developing a homegrown brand. What's more, Jia says he's trying to get away from China's reputation of counterfeiting well-known U.S. guitar brands, such as Fender and Gibson, which he says hurt the consumer and legitimate businesses. Jia showed us back and forth legal documents from Gibson Guitars, saying he is going to great lengths to show his instruments are not knockoffs, rather a product he's proud of.
I don't want the people thinking. It's just like the first impression. Maybe you see some product made in China. They say, oh, made in China. That means like bad quality.
Even though Shengzi guitars are made in China, it is easier to find out about them in nations like the U.S. Word of mouth is already spreading on the internet.
This thing played great right out of the box.
I have to select the very good like mahogany body.
So this is the mahogany body?
Yeah, it's mahogany body. Okay. So you can see no any like defense or the back.
The average guitar can be sold and shipped just about anywhere in the world for about $300. Shengzi is a fledgling company. Jia says he won't know if it will succeed for a couple of years. But with a little luck, he hopes the product strikes the right chord with consumers. A guitar, he boasts, that is dreamed up, developed, created, and made in China. Sean Caleb's, CGTN, Weifang.
Well, gentlemen, let's talk about the role of innovation played in China's economic transformation. Chinese leaders have been emphasizing the utilization of internet as an important tool to stimulate that transformation. How do you think the role of internet has developed so far, Professor?
Well, for this case, it's a very good case for the innovation. As the guitar is it's a traditional music instrument, but actually in China we have the huge market, and we have the very good technicians, and they innovated and with the new technology, and also they will share the information, share the technology and internet, and you can see that our society have the big time for the transitions and the internet plus, and we change the life and change the ways to organize the business models, and that will be give a very the strong force for the transformation of China. And we can see so many these internet companies, they expand dramatically, and even they change the business environment, and well, Chinese government have a very clear idea to give them the best environment for the innovation and for the implementations, and it can drive this for the consumer-driven society. And so for the past few years, we can see that it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. Yeah.
Mr. Lehman, also in that report, we saw that a company actually involved in a legal row with Gibson guitar in the United States. Do you think how the Chinese manufacturers can better protect or create their own unique intellectual property rights during their upgrade?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you for the question, because I mean I've spent a lot of my career just looking at those intellectual property issues vis-a-vis China. Specifically, it covered it in the piece, which was he was looking at the patents, at the designs of the Gibson guitar. He was in touch proactively with Gibson, it looked like, out of Tennessee. I mean, they've got a plant here in China as well. They do Wurlitzer, they do the guitars, they do Baldwin pianos. But what I liked was this entrepreneur was taking a look at what the patents and what the designs were and making sure that it was differential. And then they're making their own name, their own mark, and saying that made in China is a proud thing. It used to be an embarrassing thing, even among Chinese consumers. They were like, well, I'd want to get it abroad. So I think that there's innovation there. The internet also is another driver, like you were saying, and like was said before, is that there's been a higher level of adaptability with regards to internet, so they've jumped into it. Unlike the United States, I think that the smartphone is actually being used as a cashless wallet, which is very prevalent. And I often joke that I can go outside of my office and buy a potato from a local vendor with using a QR code. So I think that that's really made a very big difference, and something you don't see in other countries, really. Maybe South Korea, but not the United States yet.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be getting back to you. The NPC spokesperson plays an important role at the press conference. They delivered first-hand information to the audience. For more on the NPC spokesperson, joining me now later in our studio is our reporter Zhou Yun. But now, let's take a short break.
Two sessions is an exciting time. China has a rich history, but with lofty goals for the future.
As an African journalist covering the two sessions, I will share my insights into what the policies entail and how they will affect my continent and the rest of the world.
1.4 billion people heading in the same direction. How will the policies of the coming days keep the country on track?
Controlling financial risk is most critical. Broadening anti-corruption is most meaningful. President Xi Jinping's vision for 2035 and for 2050 is most enduring.
A team of journalists from China and around the world looking at critically important issues that will help define the 21st century.
As we just mentioned, the NPC spokesperson plays an important role at the press conference every year. They deliver the first-hand information to the audience. For more on that, joining me now in the studio is our reporter Zhou Yun. Hello, Zhou Yun. Tell us more information on the NPC press conference, this very format.
Well, the first NPC spokesperson made its debut in 1983 when China's first press conference was held at that time. And if we include this spokesperson, possibly this year, there will be 8 in total. And some of the names that we're very familiar of, such as Fu Ying and also Li Zhaoxing. And we know that the spokesperson has become a major channel for the viewers to get the first-hand information on the NPC. And the individual approach is also very interesting and attractive. For instance, Fu Ying is often referred to her personal experiences with communicating with journalists. Back in 2015, when talking about the air quality issue, Fu actually cited her own experiences, saying that he bought a lot of protective masks for her family. And Li Zhaoxing was known for often citing China's constitution. In his first NPC press conference in 2009, for instance, Li cited the constitution 3 times. And we know that a good spokesperson is required to have a keen political awareness as well as extensive knowledge, base of knowledge, and also a good communication skill. For instance, Fu Ying last year answered a total question of 15 questions, and that covered a wide range of issues, including the second child policy, China-U.S. relations, as well as the country's budget, defense budget. Back to you.
And Zhou Yun, the main function of the NPC is making laws, of course, but can you tell us some other characteristics of the lawmaking body has taken over the years, as well as its supervisory function?
Well, we're most familiar with the NPC's role as a top legislature, and this includes, amending the constitution as well as enacting the basic laws. For instance, For instance, in recent years, China's top legislative process has become more visionary as well as forward-guided. Experts say that a decade ago, the new law is more like an abstraction of the previous laws. But for instance, in recent years, the charity law that we've been saying, the new defense laws are all become more forward-guided to the current practice. Moreover, besides to that, the NPC also has the supervisory function, and the NPC now is making efforts to strengthen this function using a more innovative, more creative combined tools, such as the enacting the constitution as well as the examination of some special inquiries. And now the NPC is looking forward to enhance these supervisory tools to make sure that this is not just a formality. Back to you.
Thank you very much, our reporter Zhou Yun there. And gentlemen, let's talk about the legislative work of the NPC. We know that the 13th NPC start its work this year. So what about the work of the 12th NPC? And I got this list from NPC's official website. It's about all the legislative tasks the 12th NPC has done. If you take a look at it, it's not always about big things and some professional area. I think it's also about people's well-being. For example, a law, the amendment to the law on water pollution prevention, and even a law on public libraries. What's your take on this, Professor?
Well, for the National Congress, the laws, this is the top law, and actually this is the national-wide, and also they give some autonomy to the local legislative conference, like in the city like Shenzhen, special, then they can make them in these regions. And for the procedures for make these laws, they are very complicated, and they hear from widely for these proposals, and they have lots of investigation and lots of hearings, and in the different format, and then finally they get to the standing committee to get to approve that, and so then they also follow up to investigation or the supervise for how this law kept in effect and what's the the functions, and they even give the further advice to either will be to improve, and so sometimes we have lots of laws that will be modified and according to the new development.
So, in the past year, which particular amendment or legislation relates to you the most or impresses you the most?
Well, since I'm from the university, so I know the government highlight the importance of education and science research, and so they have lots of laws concerning.
And talking about that, we're now getting live footage from the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, and the press conference for the 13th. National People's Congress is about to start, and the media are also expecting a new spokesperson this year. Now back to your topic, education is also a focus of the people and media this year. What is your expectation, Professor?
Well, first is the guarantee that the status of the teacher, there will be a big change for the status of teacher as especially for the elementary and middle school. The teachers give them the status as public servant, as servant, so that maintain guarantee the compensation for them. And
what about higher education?
For higher education, there is a big reform, and now we call the double excellence of the university and other disciplines, and there is also improve the quality, so that's to develop the world-class universities and also the world-leading programs. So that's.
Mr. Lehman, as a foreigner who's been working in China for decades, what's your focus for this year's legislative work?
I think it's what's been very interesting is what's been in the 13th five-year plan, which started in 2016, is this development of blockchain, and so that has actually been integrated into looking to do savings with regards to financial services. And
are you talking about a better control of financial risks?
Yeah, of course. That's
because China has outlawed cryptocurrency.
Sure, I think there's this large misunderstanding between blockchain, which is the technology, and cryptocurrency, which is frowned upon, of course.
Now let's cross live to the Great Hall of the People. The first press conference of the 13th National People's Congress is about to start. You're watching live footage from the Great Hall of the People. And we're also expecting a new spokesperson this year. Now back to your topic, Mr. Lehman. Let's talk about China's financial risk control. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, what they've done is they're consolidating. So there's a whole bunch of regulatory organizations, and they're now consolidating these to take a look at better controlling the financial risks that are out there. There have also been some problems in the insurance industry or in industries that might be vulnerable to the public if the risk is not undertaken and there's financial
What
issues.
Industries are you talking about?
Well, the insurance industry per se, that they want to make sure that there's liquidity there in case that there are claims made and that these companies are legitimate. So like Anbang, for example, they want to make sure that they would oversee any kind of issues that wouldn't be able to cover risks for the population. And that's an extremely wise thing to be done. So you got financial services where they're going to be opening it up, and they have to do it in it's a careful tightrope that they're walking with regard to that. They want to utilize efficiencies with regards to technology in the financial services as well to reduce costs. They can reduce it by $20 billion in the financial services industry by making a commitment to the technology that underlies the transparency of these kind of transactions. The other thing is environment, that there's a real commitment to that, and the anti-corruption, which is going to be rolled out, which was done primarily at a party level, at a national level, and that's going to be brought into integration in local areas. So I think that part's very exciting.
And that brings us to your focus this year, Professor. Earlier you told me that you're focusing on the party and national or organizational reforms this year. Mr. Lehman just mentioned a national supervision body. What other major changes are you expecting, Professor?
Well, this will be according to our new development strategy. So that will restructure the government bodies to focus on the areas and they're more efficient, and so avoid some too many government agencies involved in the one issue. So that will be, I think we'll concentrate, and sometimes we'll integrate it, like for example the financial supervision and currently we have 3 watching dogs, so that maybe work together, and so there is the proposal for that, and also for the environment protection, and also the natural resources and even energy, so whatever. So this is the waiting for this restructuring, since we call this the mega ministries in the system.
So you think this is about efficiency?
Yes, and improve efficiency.
And you are a professor in economics. How can better government and better efficiency affect economic development?
Well, this combine the role of the government and also the role of the market, and then we should guarantee that the market play these the fundamental roles for the development, while the government should play this role for the supervision and also to correct these market failures. So and on the other hand, this for the social development, we promote the justice and fairness.
Mr. Lehman, this year marks the 40th anniversary of China's reform and opening up policy. As a foreigner, do you think this occasion will provide you more opportunities ahead?
I do, actually, because like I said, the financial services, they're looking to open those, and they're looking to put foreign financial institutions on the same footing, where in law, it was written that way, but the policy wasn't quite there. There's also going to be some raising of bonds for the Belt and Road Initiative that will be done in Shanghai, it appears, and that those are going to be able to be open to foreigners as well. You've got something like 10,000 venture capitalist groups that are able to, or that are functioning now in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone. So I do think there is opportunity here, but you've got to really pay attention to what's going on. Tremendous opportunity and tremendous growth here. 6.9% growth, which is much larger than the United States.
A lot of expects indeed. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And each year the two sessions attracts attention from all over the world. Now let's hear what people from other countries have to say about China's political season.
The upcoming two sessions will let us know and will allow us to get familiar with China's new leadership. The next 5 years will be very important. We will be able to learn about Chinese government officials and provincial leaders through the meetings.
What General Secretary Xi Jinping said at the 19th CPC National Congress is very important to China in the next 5 years. And that will be discussed during this year's political season, so you can see how important the meetings are.
The two sessions are very important meetings. They will discuss and draw up public policies which will be implemented in China. China is now the second largest economy in the world, and one of the most important investment partners of Brazil.
Now let's take a look at what the public is expecting from their annual gathering. Our reporters from all over China hit the streets to find out.
I love the blue sky here today. In 2018, I want the government to put more legislative efforts in protecting our environment, making our skies bluer, and our water cleaner.
I will graduate soon and I'm worried it will be difficult to find a job. Now China has more college graduates. I hope more job opportunities can be provided for us.
As an entrepreneur, I wish for a more fair business environment with fewer restrictions. That will benefit companies' development.
I hope the NPC deputies and the CPPCC members can pay some attention to the housing price issue, as it is still too high and it's very difficult for we average people to afford a house in urban areas.
Seeing doctors is quite an issue now. There are a lot of people in the hospital and we need to wait for days before we can see a doctor.
I'm from Ningxia. I hope the government will carry out more favorable policies to support the development of the western areas, lifting more people out of poverty there so that they can be better off.
Well, Professor Zhao, people have a lot to say about their own well-being, housing, education, medical care, health, and actually from this document from the NPC official website, I can see that in December they did a first deliberation on the draft of basic medical and health law. What can we expect from that?
Well, this is related to the how to improve the people's living standard, and also this called the social development, and for the housing, for the education. So since we put the so-called people living the first, and for employment, the education, and the healthcare, and so that's we will take lots of measures, and we will check some policies. For example, housing. The housing is the house is for live, not for the speculations. So that's a will be big change. We can see that the government take the measures and to try to control or cool down these the speculations. This is the bubbles.
And there's this massive campaign called de-stalking in the housing market carried out by the Chinese government. How do you think this campaign has performed so far?
Well, so far so good. And if it will take the time to transist this the trend, and also the.
Do you think it needs more legislation?
Possible, but I think this will be as the operational level. So the government will issue some regulations on that. So that's have the real impact.
And Mr. Lehman, earlier we were talking about the 40th anniversary of China's reform and opening up. And Chinese President Xi Jinping says that China will only open its doors wider to the whole world in the years to come. So legislation-wise, what some of the works are you expecting?
You know, again, what we're seeing is an opening in the financial services sector. I mean, an opening and a tightening at the same time, however that's possible. That they're trying to do it in a very controlled manner. And I just want to also say that those of us that are foreigners that live and work in China, these laws are made publicly available to us for comment. And I can't even say that that's really done in the United States. I mean, in the United States, the laws are so darn long and go through so many committees, and it's very difficult to know. But they're rather brief here by way of comparison, and so that there is input by foreign nationals and chambers of commerce and other organizations, embassies and whatnot, which is amazing. And then you take a look at what is around the corner for opportunities. One would be the opening up of financial services. The second would be the Belt and Road initiatives.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's cross live to the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. The first press conference of the 13th National People's Congress is about to start. And the first plenary session of the 13th National People's Congress is to start on Monday, and now you're watching the first press conference of the 13th NPC. A new spokesperson will brief the media on the key focus this year on the NPC plenary session's agenda.
13届全国人大一次会议新闻发布会现在开始。
The Presidium of the session has just held its first meeting. The meeting has appointed Ms. Xing Chunying, Mr. Han Liping, Mr. Jiang Xingzhi, Mr. Li Baorong, and Mr. Zhang Yesui, Deputy Secretaries General of the session, and designated Mr. Zhang Yesui the spokesperson of the session. He will brief you on the agenda and the relevant arrangements of the session, and answer questions about the session's agenda and the work of the NPC. Mr. Spokesperson, you have the floor. Friends from the press, good morning. Welcome to today's press conference. The first session of the 13th NPC will see the election of new government officials. This important meeting takes place as we kick off the efforts to put to action the guiding principles from the 19th Party Congress, celebrate the 40th anniversary of China's reform and opening up, and face a critical moment in the decisive stage of building a moderately prosperous society in all respects and in the 13th five-year plan. This NPC session will be a big event in the political life of the Chinese people. The session will follow the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core. It will hold high the banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, fully implement the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and act on the decisions of the 19th Party Congress. It will uphold the party leadership, the running of the country by the people, and law-based governance, and earnestly fulfill its duty invested by the Constitution and other laws. It will be a democratic, united, down-to-earth and inspiring session. Of the 2,980 deputies for the 13th NPC, 2,976 have registered with the session. We have everything ready. A preparatory meeting this morning adopted the agenda of the session and elected a 190-member presidium and Mr. Wang Chen as the Secretary General of the session. The session will open on the morning of March the 5th and run for 15 and a half days to close on the morning of March the 20th. It will last slightly longer than the first session of the 12th NPC, largely due to the agenda of this session. There will be 10 items on the agenda. Deputies will, under items 1 to 3, deliberate on the report on the work of the government and review the report on planning and report on budget. Under items 4 and 5, deliberate on the draft amendments to the Constitution and the draft supervision law. Under items 6 to 8, deliberate on the work report of the NPC Standing Committee, the work report of the Supreme People's Court, and the work report of the Supreme People's Procuratorate. On item 9, deliberate on the plan of the State Council institutional reform. On item 10, elect and decide on the appointment of state institution officials. There will be 8 plenary meetings. At the opening ceremony scheduled for the morning of the 5th, Premier Li Keqiang will deliver the report on the work of the government. Deputies will review the report on planning and report on budget, and the NPC Standing Committee will give an explanation of the draft amendments to the Constitution. At the second plenary on the afternoon of the 9th, deputies will hear and deliberate on the work report of the Supreme People's Court and the work report of the Supreme People's Procuratorate. At the third plenary on the afternoon of the 11th, deputies will vote on the draft amendments to the Constitution and hear and deliberate on the work report of the NPC Standing Committee. At the fourth plenary on the morning of the 13th, deputies will hear the NPC Standing Committee's explanation of the draft supervision law and the State Council's explanation of its institutional reform plan. At the 5th, 6th, and 7th plenary meetings on the mornings of the 17th, 18th, and 19th, deputies will elect and decide on the appointment of state institution officials. Each of the 3 plenary meetings will be followed by a ceremony where the elected officials will take oath and pledge allegiance to the Constitution. Such a ceremony, held for the first time at an NPC session, will help highlight the sanctity, authority, and spirit of the Constitution. At the 8th plenary, on the morning of the 20th, deputies will vote on the draft resolutions on the work reports and draft supervision law. The President of the People's Republic of China and the Chairman of the 13th NPC Standing Committee will address the meeting. The session will rigorously follow the CPC Central Committee's 8-point decision on improving party and government conduct and its implementation regulations. It will fully implement General Secretary Xi Jinping's instructions concerning the conduct of meetings and strictly apply the related measures newly developed by the session's Secretariat. The plenary meetings will be open to accredited Chinese and foreign journalists. But at the plenaries to elect and decide on the appointment of state institution officials, journalists will be requested to leave when the deputies write on the ballots. This is a common practice followed out of respect for the deputies' voting rights. There will be 14 press conferences during the session. Leading officials of the NPC special committees and working bodies of the Standing Committee will be invited to answer questions on the NPC's work on legislation and supervision. Ministers of the State Council departments will be invited to answer questions about China's social and economic development that are of interest to the general public. On the 6th and 7th, press conferences will be given respectively by the chairman of the NDRC and Minister of Finance. On the morning of the 8th, Minister of Foreign Affairs will take questions on China's foreign policy and external relations. On the afternoon of the 11th, immediately after the vote on the draft amendments to the Constitution, a press conference on that specific topic will be held at the press conference hall of the Great Hall of the People, given by the head of the Bill Office of the Secretariat. After the session closes on the morning of the 20th, the new Premier of the State Council will meet Chinese and international media at the Golden Hall on the 3rd floor of the Great Hall of the People. The new Vice Premiers will also be present. Like in previous NPC sessions, media stakeouts will be arranged for ministers of State Council departments present at this year's session. At the Ministers' Corridor at the Northern Hall of the Great Hall of the People, they will answer questions about the government work report and related policies and respond to public concerns. At this year's session, there will be media stakeouts for deputies, the first of its kind at an NPC session. We will invite deputies to give group interviews at the Central Hall of the Great Hall of the People. For detailed information on these interviews and other reporting opportunities, please follow the web page and WeChat account of the Press Center of the session. The Press Center will provide Chinese and foreign journalists with the government work report and other documents before the related plenaries, including several foreign language versions. The agenda and program of the session have been released by the Press Center. We will do our best to support you in covering this year's session. I wish you every success. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Spokesperson. The floor is now open.
中区第6排，对，针对的那位女士。
谢谢主持人。我是南方家南方都市报记者。时隔14年，宪法将迎来第5次修改。我们都知道，这将是国家政治生活当中的一件大事。想请问发言人，为何在此时间节点进行修宪？将考虑从哪几个方面进行修改？谢谢。
With the Southern Metropolis Daily, we understand that 14 years later, there will be the 5th revision to the Chinese Constitution. It will be a major event in China's political life. My question is that why now, and what kind of amendments will be made to the Constitution?
本次大会的一项重要任务是对宪法部分内容进行修改，审议和通过宪法修正案。
According to the agenda of this NPC session, one of the important items is to revise the Constitution through deliberating on and adopting the constitutional amendment.
2018年1月，中共中央向全国人大常委会提出了关于修改宪法部分内容的建议。全国人大常委会在讨论的基础上，提出了宪法修正案草案，提请本次会议审议。
In January this year, the CPC Central Committee proposed to the National People's Congress Standing Committee the revisions to the Constitution. After discussions, the Standing Committee has put together the draft amendment which will be submitted to this session.
宪法是国家的根本法，是治国安邦的总章程，是党和人民意志的集中体现。我国现行宪法是符合国情、符合实际、符合时代发展要求的好宪法，为改革开放和社会主义现代化建设提供了根本法治保障。
The Constitution is the fundamental law of our country. It is the overall charter for running the country, and it embodies the will of the party and the Chinese people. The current Constitution is a good one because it is in keeping with China's context, reality, and also the trend of the times. It has provided the fundamental legal guarantee for the reform and opening up and socialist modernization drive.
宪法只有不断适应新形势，吸纳新经验，确认新成果，做出新规范，才具有持久生命力。1982年宪法公布施行后，我国改革开放和社会主义现代化建设的实践和发展，分别于1988年、1993年、1999年、2004年进行了4次修改。
It is important for the Constitution to adapt to the changing circumstances, absorb new experience, reflect new achievements, and lay out new guidelines in order to remain relevant. The Constitution was promulgated in 1982, and since then, as China pushed forward its reform and opening up and the socialist modernization drive, the Constitution was amended 4 times in 1988, 1993, 1999, and 2004.
2004年宪法修改以来，党和国家事业又有了许多重要的发展变化，特别是党的18大以来，在以习近平同志为核心的党中央的坚强领导下，党和国家事业取得历史性成就，发生历史性变革。党的19大对新时代坚持和发展中国特色社会主义作出重大战略部署，确定了新的奋斗目标。
In the years following its last revision in 2004, we have seen some further big changes in the undertakings of the party and the country, especially since the 18th Party Congress, under the strong party central leadership with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core. Historic achievements and transformation have taken place in the course of the party and the country. So, building on that, the 19th Party Congress made the important decision to uphold and develop socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era, and it has also set out new objectives.
为更好发挥宪法在新时代坚持和发展中国特色社会主义中的重大作用，需要对现行宪法做出适当修改，把党和人民在实践中取得的重大理论创新、实践创新、制度创新新成果上升为宪法的规定。
For the Constitution to better play its critical role in this regard, appropriate changes need to be made so that the innovative achievements that the party and people have made in terms of theories, practices, and institution building will be incorporated into the Constitution.
修改宪法是国家政治生活中的一件大事，是事关全局的重大立法活动。这次修改宪法的原则是：一、坚持党的领导，坚持中国特色社会主义法治道路，坚持正确政治方向；二、严格依法，按程序进行；三、充分发扬民主，广泛凝聚共识，确保反映人民意志，得到人民拥护； 四、坚持对宪法做部分修改，不做大改的原则，做到既顺应党和人民事业发展要求，又遵循宪法法律发展的规律，确保宪法的连续性、稳定性和权威性。谢谢。
Revising the Constitution is certainly a big event in the country's political life, and it is also a major legislative activity that will have wide-ranging implications. Well, throughout the whole process, a number of important principles have been upheld. First, to uphold the leadership of the party, the Chinese socialist rule of law, and follow the right political direction. And second, to strictly follow various laws and procedures. Third, fully exercise democracy and build the broadest consensus in order to reflect the people's will and gain the people's support. And fourth, we only change part of the provisions as necessary and not drastic changes in order to keep pace with the ongoing efforts of the party and the people, and at the same time also respect the development of the Constitution as a piece of law, so that we can maintain the Constitution's continuity, stability, and authority. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。中区第4排，这位女士，第4排对。没错。
谢谢主持人，我来自新加坡联合早报。我们注意到呢，中国这些年来大力倡导构建人类命运共同体，那么也提出要为解决人类问题提供中国方案跟中国智慧。可是呢，也有一些评论担忧，中国在向外输出的中国模式呢，是要改变现有的国际秩序跟规则。那么，请问发言人，您认为这符合事实吗？那您对此又有何评价？谢谢。
With 联合早报 of Singapore, we have noticed that in recent years, China has been advocating for the building of a community of shared future for mankind, and China has been working to provide Chinese wisdom and solutions to addressing the problems confronting human beings. But some say that by exporting China's models, China wants to overthrow or change the existing international order and rules. Is it true in your view, and how do you comment on that?
谢谢你提出的问题。党的19大，全面总结了中国发展的历史性成就，提出，中国特色社会主义进入了新时代，提出新时代中国特色大国外交，要推动构建新型国际关系，推动构建人类命运共同体。
Thank you for your question. Well, the 19th Party Congress has reviewed the historic progress in China's course of development. The Party Congress points out that socialism with Chinese characteristics has entered a new era. And in this new era, China's diplomacy with Chinese features aims to foster a new type of international relations and build a community of shared future for mankind.
中国始终不渝走和平发展道路，始终不渝奉行互利共赢的开放战略，坚持在和平共处五项原则的基础上，发展同世界各国的友好合作。
What China pursues is peaceful development and also an opening up strategy for win-win outcome. China has been and will continue to reach out to other countries for friendship and cooperation based on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence.
中国的发展有利于世界的和平、稳定与繁荣。中国通过自身的发展，给世界的发展提供了更多的机遇，特别是为世界经济增长、国际贸易的发展和全球减贫事业做出了重要的贡献。
China's development is conducive to world peace, stability, and prosperity. With its development, China has created many opportunities for the world, and especially China has made great contribution to global growth, international trade, and the global poverty reduction efforts.
你刚才提到发展模式问题，我们认为世界上没有放之四海而皆准的发展模式，各国都需要独立自主地根据本国的国情来探索符合本国国情的发展道路。中国坚持走自己的路，既不输入外国模式，也不输出中国模式，不会要求别国复制中国的做法。当然，如果有一些国家对中国发展的经验和做法感兴趣，我们愿意同他们讨论，同他们分享，但绝不会强加于人。
You mentioned the issue of a development model. Well, for China, we don't think there is a one-size-fits-all development model, and all countries need to independently find a path tailored to its own reality. China follows its own path. And we don't want to import models from other countries, and we don't want to export the Chinese model either. And we will not ask other countries to copy the Chinese practice. But of course, if some countries are interested in learning China's experience and practice, we are ready to discuss with them and share our experience with them. But we will not impose anything on others.
在国际秩序问题上，我们不是要推倒重来，搞颠覆替代，而是要坚持做国际秩序的维护者和建设者。我们积极维护的是以联合国宪章宗旨和原则为基础的国际规则，推动改革的是不适应时代发展和不符合各国共同愿望的国际秩序。中国愿意积极参与全球治理体系的改革和建设，希望推动国际秩序朝着更加公正合理的方向发展。谢谢。
As to the international order, we have no intention of overthrowing everything or starting all over again. We will remain a defender and a contributor to the existing international order. What we actively uphold is the international order with the purposes and principles of the UN Charter at the center. At the same time, what we believe that needs to be reformed is those rules that are no longer in keeping with the reality and those that are not up to the shared aspirations. When it comes to the reform of global governance system, China stands ready to participate in it and contribute to it. And our hope is that the international order could evolve toward greater justice and equity. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。东区第3排那位女士，第3排。
谢谢主持人，发言人您好，凤凰卫视提问。我们关注机构改革，我们都知道这次会议呢会审议中共19届3中全会通过的深化党和国家机构改革方案的部分内容。我们想请教，在政府机构改革方面会遵循怎么样的原则？怎么改会对中国的治理格局产生怎样的影响？谢谢。
With Phoenix TV, I have a question about the reform of the state institutions of China. The third plenum of the 19th Party Central Committee has passed a decision to reform the party and state institutions. So what are the principles guiding this round of government institution reform, and how will that change the existing governance structure? Thank you.
本次大会呢将这个听取或审议国务院机构改革方案。国务院机构改革方案呢，是党和国家机构改革方案的重要部分。目标是构建系统完备、科学规范、运行高效的党和国家机构的职能体系。这个草案呢，将在3月13日的 第4次全会上听取说明，请你予以关注，谢谢。
This session will hear and deliberate on the plan of reform of state council institutions. That is part of the reform plan regarding the party and state institutional reform. The purpose is to put in place a well-conceived, rules-based and highly effective government institution functioning system. On the 13th of this month, at the 4th plenary, an explanation of the reform plan will be heard, and you may want to follow that to get further information. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。西区第4排那位男士，这位男士，对，没错。
Thank you. I'm from Reuters. Can you tell us how much the defence budget will rise this year compared to last year? And can you tell us also what China's considerations are behind increasing the defence budget? Thank you.
你好，我是路透社的记者。我的问题是，跟去年相比，今年中国的国防预算的增幅将会是如何？那么这个增幅背后有什么样的考虑？谢谢。
国防预算，确实是每年人大新闻发布会的一个老问题。国防建设要与经济建设协调发展，与国家安全和发展利益相适应。根据国防需要和国民经济发展水平，调整国防预算规模，是各国的普遍做法。
Indeed, the defense budget of China is a question that appears in almost every press conferences of the National People's Congress. Well, for a country's national defense, we believe it needs to develop in step with the country's economy and serve the country's national security and development interests. Countries around the world adjust their defense budget according to their defense needs and their level of economic development. This is a common practice.
近年来，中国适度加大国防投入，其中相当一部分是为了弥补过去投入的不足，主要用于更新武器装备、改善军人的生活待遇和基层部队训练生活条件。
In recent years, China has increased input in its defense by a modest margin. A large part is to make up for past shortfalls, and it is used to upgrade equipment, improve the welfare of the servicemen and women, and to improve the training and living conditions for troops at the grassroots level.
无论从国防预算占国内生产总值、国家财政支出的比重看，还是从人均数额看，中国的国防投入水平都低于世界主要国家。
If we take a look at the share of China's defense budget in China's GDP or in China's national fiscal spending, and also in per capita term, we can see that China's defense input is actually still lower than major countries.
中国始终坚持走和平发展道路，奉行防御性的国防政策。中国的发展不会对任何国家构成威胁。谢谢。
China is committed to a path of peaceful development, and China pursues a defense policy that is defensive in nature. China's development will not pose a threat to other countries. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。中区第5排那位女士，
谢谢主持人，我是新华社记者。现在距离到2020年全面落实税收法定原则只剩3年时间，但现有18个税种只有6部税法，剩下的税收立法修法任务还很艰巨。请问，社会关注的房地产税法进展如何？到2020年全面税收法定的目标能否如期实现？谢谢。
With Xinhua News Agency, Now we are 3 years away from 2020, by which the reform to ensure law-based taxation will be completed. But among the 18 categories, we only have 6 tax laws regarding specific areas. And there is still a daunting task to finish the rest of the tax laws. And also regarding the law on property tax, what is the progress made so far? And do you foresee the completion of the reform by 2020?
谢谢你的提问。税收与国计民生密切相关，依法治税呢是全面推进依法治国的重要内容。落实税收法定原则是党中央提出的重要改革任务。
Thank you for your question. Taxation is actually critical to the development of China and the livelihood of the Chinese people. We have recognized that to advance law-based governance, to promote law-based administration of tax collection is an important part. And to implement law-based taxation is also one of the reforms that the party has set out.
全国人大常委会认真贯彻这项改革任务，研究提出落实税收法定原则的实施意见，经党中央审议通过，明确了改革路线图和时间表。一个呢，就是今后开征新税的，应当通过全国人大及其常委会制定相应的法律。第二呢，是对现行的税收条例修改上升为法律或者废止的时间也做出了安排，那就是力争在2020年前完成改革的任务。
The NPC Standing Committee has worked diligently to follow up on this reform. It has put forward the implementation opinions, and the specific plan was adopted and approved by the party. So we already have a roadmap and timetable on the reform. To be specific, for new taxes, they will be introduced through new laws enacted by the NPC and its standing committee. For existing tax regulations, we also have an arrangement to elevate some of them into law and terminate some of them. And our schedule is to complete the reform by 2020.
正如你刚才提到的，12届全国人大常委会已先后制定了环境保护税法、烟叶税法、传播敦税法，修改了企业所得税法，加上此前呢制定的个人所得税法和车船税法，已经制定了6部税收法律。今年还将制定耕地占用税法、车辆购置税法、资源税法等，并且呢将修改税收征收管理法。
As you mentioned, in terms of specific legislation, the Standing Committee of the 12th National People's Congress has made 3 laws, respectively regarding the environment, tobacco leaf, and vessel tonnage. The committee has also modified the corporate income tax law. So with that, and taking into account the personal income tax law and vehicle and vessel tax law already enacted, we now have a total number of 6 pieces of tax laws. And going forward this year, the committee plans to make additional 3 tax laws in relation to farmland conversion, vehicle purchase, and resources. And it will also revise the law on the administration of tax collection.
剩下的任务确实很重，全国人大常委会将督促有关部门按照实施意见确定的时间节点要求，抓紧相关税收法律的起草工作，尽快将相关税法草案提交全国人大常委会审议，力争按时完成这项改革任务。
Indeed, there is a lot that remains to be done. Going forward, the Standing Committee will see to it that various departments will speed up the drafting of tax bills according to the timetable and report the bills to the Standing Committee so that the reform will be completed on schedule and as planned.
房地产税立法是社会普遍关注的一个问题。加快房地产税立法是党中央提出的重要任务，由全国人大常委会预算工作委员会和财政部牵头组织起草。目前呢，正在加快进行起草完善法律草案、重要问题的论证、内部征求意见等方面的工作，争取早日完成提请常委会初次审议的准备工作。谢谢。
For the property tax law, it is true that this issue has attracted a lot of attention in the society. The CPC Central Committee has made the decision to accelerate the reform of property tax. The drafting will be undertaken jointly by the Budget Committee of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress and the Finance Ministry. Right now, accelerated efforts are being made to improve the draft of the bill, to conduct debate on important issues, and to have internal consultation of opinions. We will try to make sure that the draft will be put in place and be submitted to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress for the first review. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。中区第3排这位女士，中间这位女士。
谢谢主持人，我是人民日报记者。13届全国人大一次会议的一项重要议程是审议监察法草案。我想请问发言人，制定监察法、成立国家监察委员会，是为了解决现实中的哪些问题，又有何重要意义？谢谢。
With People's Daily, this NPC session will deliberate on the draft supervision law. So my question is that could you elaborate on the significance of having this law and setting up the Supervision Commission, and what are the questions that these measures are aimed at addressing? Thank you.
谢谢你的提问。深化国家监察体制改革是事关全局的重大政治体制改革，是国家监督制度的顶层设计，目的是加强党对反腐败工作的统一领导，实现对所有行使公权力的公职人员的监督全覆盖。
Thank you for your question. To deepen the reform of national supervisory system is a major step central to the political system reform. It is the top-level design of the oversight structure. It will strengthen the leadership of the party against corruption, and it will ensure that all personnel in public sector who exercise public power will be covered.
国家监察委员会就是中国特色的反腐败工作机构。国家监察委员会同中央纪委联署办公，履行纪检、监察两项职责。
The National Supervision Commission is the body to fight against corruption with distinct Chinese features. The Commission and the Central Commission on Discipline Inspection will share the same office, and they will fulfill the duties of discipline inspection and supervision.
监察法就是反腐败国家立法，通过制定监察法，实施制度创新和组织创新，把实践证明行之有效的做法和经验上升为法律制度，对加强党对反腐败工作统一领导，构建权威高效的监察体系 推进国家治理体系和治理能力的现代化，具有重大而深远的意义。
As to the supervision law, it is the national legislation on corruption. This law represents the innovative changes to the institution and organization. And we want to codify into law those practices that have proved to be effective. So having this law will have far-reaching implications. For example, it will strengthen the unified leadership of the party against corruption. It will put in place an authoritative and efficient supervisory system. It will also modernize China's governance system and capabilities.
12届全国人大常委会贯彻党中央决策部署，2次作出国家监察体制改革4点工作的决定。去年，常委会2次审议监察法草案，通过中国人大网征求社会公众意见，认真研究吸取了社会各方面的意见建议，提请本次大会审议，确保制定好这部重要的法律。谢谢。
To implement this important reform of the party, the Standing Committee of the 12th National People's Congress adopted 2 decisions to carry out pilot supervisory programs. And also last year, the Standing Committee conducted 2 deliberations on the draft law. It had solicited public comments through the NPC website, then studied and took in various views and proposals and prepared this draft, which will be submitted to this session for deliberation. Our goal is to ensure a well-conceived and sound legislation. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。西区第6排靠过道的那位女士。
谢谢主持人。中国日报记者提问：今年是“一带一路”倡议提出5周年，想请问发言人，您如何评价5年来“一带一路”的建设？我们也注意到有人认为“一带一路”是中国的地缘战略工具，不知道对这种说法，发言人您怎么看？谢谢。
With China Daily, this year is the 5th year since the Belt and Road Initiative was put forward. Mr. Spokesperson, how do you assess its progress in the past 5 years? And we have also noticed that some people are saying that it is China's geostrategic tool. How do you comment on that?
今年呢是习近平主席提出“一带一路”倡议的5周年。5年来，在各方的共同努力下，“一带一路”建设从理念转化为行动，从愿景转变为现实，取得了丰硕的成果。这些成果包括基础设施互联互通取得一系列早期收获，政策沟通不断深化，合作机制不断完善，各领域合作广泛开展。
5 years ago, President Xi Jinping put forward the Belt and Road Initiative. And over the past 5 years, thanks to joint efforts from all parties, this initiative is being turned into actions from a concept, and it is being translated into reality from a vision. Actually, a lot of progress has been made. For example, infrastructure connectivity building has yielded a lot of early harvests. Financing facilities like the Silk Road Fund and the AIIB are in full swing. Policy communication is going deeper. Cooperation mechanisms are being strengthened, and collaboration on the ground is unfolding across the board.
从取得的这些成绩可以看出，“一带一路”倡议顺应合作共赢的时代潮流，符合共同发展的普遍愿望。
All these concrete results are successful examples, and they fully demonstrate that the Belt and Road Initiative has really responded to the trend for win-win cooperation and the shared aspiration for common development.
说这个“一带一路”是中国的地缘战略工具， 我认为这是对“一带一路”倡议的误解。
To say that the Belt and Road Initiative is a geostrategic tool, in my view, this is a misinterpretation of the initiative.
一带一路是一个以互联互通为重点，以互利共赢为目标的经济合作倡议，是希望通过实现优势互补，为世界经济增长和各国的共同发展创造更多的机遇。
The Belt and Road Initiative is actually a proposal for economic cooperation. It focuses on connectivity and it aims at achieving win-win outcome. The hope is to pull strengths together to create more opportunities for global economic growth and shared prosperity of all countries.
一带一路的原则是共商、共建、共享，所有参与方都是平等的伙伴。一带一路建设呢是一个开放、包容的平台，不排斥或针对任何国家，对所有有兴趣的国家开放。
The Belt and Road Initiative is guided by the principle of pursuing shared benefits through consultation and collaboration. All participants are equal partners in this process. It is an open and inclusive platform. It doesn't exclude or target any country, but it opens to all those who are interested.
在过去的5年中，全国人大常委会已决定批准我国与“一带一路”合作国家签署的多项条约和协定，将继续为推进“一带一路”建设提供有力的法治保障。
In the past 5 years, the Standing Committee decided to ratify treaties and agreements signed between China and many countries involved in this initiative. And going forward, the Standing Committee will continue to do so in order to provide strong legal support.
最后我还想强调一点，就是“一带一路”建设目前还处在初期的阶段。这个像所有的新生事物一样，出现这样那样的挑战是非常正常的。我们欢迎有利于推进“一带一路”建设的积极建设性意见。相信只要各方坚持共商、共建、共享，加强沟通协调，“一带一路”建设呢，必将取得更大的发展。谢谢。
Let me also point out that the initiative is still in its early stage. So like everything that is new, it will face this or that kind of challenges, and this is only natural. For China, we welcome all those positive and constructive opinions, and we believe that if all parties work together to pursue shared benefits through dialogue and collaboration, and to continue to have close communication, the Belt and Road Initiative will deliver greater benefits. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。中区第3排这位男士。
Thank you. I'm with CNN. I noticed a Chinese reporter has asked you about the Constitution amendments. I have a follow-up. One of the proposals that caught most people's attention is the removal of the presidential term limits, which makes many people think this marks the end of a system of top leadership change in China every 10 years and could pave the way for President Xi to stay on forever. How would you respond to these arguments? On a related question, US President Trump has increasingly said China is a strategic competitor of the US. And with Mr. Xi becoming increasingly powerful, many people think US-China relations in 2018 will head to more conflicts in trade, military, or even ideologies. What's your comment? Thank you.
你好，我是 CNN 的记者。我注意到刚才中国的记者已经问了关于修宪的问题。那么一个与此有关的，就是在所有的修正当中，有一条是引起了大家广泛的关注，那就是关于主席的任期。其中 这个关于任期的修改，让人们开始猜测，这会不会改变中国在过去一贯实行的10年一换届的做法？会不会使习主席能够终身任职？您对此如何看？那么，另外，美国总统特朗普也把中国视作是中国的这个战略竞争者。那么，随着习主席的权力在不断的扩大，2018年中美关系是否会面临更多的冲突，包括贸易、军事以及意识形态方面？
你一共提出了2个问题，第一个问题是关于修宪，第二个问题是关于中美关系。我先回答你的第一个问题。
Actually, you raised 2 questions, one on the constitutional amendment and the second on China-U.S. relations. Let me address your first question.
目前呢，这个中国共产党的党章，对党的中央委员会总书记、党的中央军事委员会主席、宪法对中华人民共和国中央军事委员会主席都没有做出连续任职不得超过2届的规定。
Well, according to the constitution of the party, there is no such provision as to there shall be no more than 2 successive terms for the Secretary General of China or the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, and there is no such clause on the Chairman of the Central Military Commission in the Constitution of the PRC.
宪法对国家主席的相关规定也采取上述做法，有利于维护以习近平同志为核心的党中央权威和统一领导，有利于加强和完善国家领导体制。
So, for the Constitution, it follows the same practice regarding the term of the President. It is conducive to uphold the authority of the Central Committee of the party with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, and also unified leadership. It will also be conducive to the state leadership system.
关于中美关系，我认为，中美关系是当今世界最重要的双边关系之一。保持中美关系的稳定发展，不仅符合两国和两国人民的根本利益，也是国际社会的普遍期待。
China-U.S. relations. Well, China-U.S. relations is one of the most important bilateral relationships in the world. A stable and growing relationship not only serves the fundamental interest of both peoples, but is also what the international community wants to see.
中美两国建交已经39年了，建交39年来，两国关系取得了历史性的发展，给两国人民带来了许多实实在在的好处。两国呢，在当前的国际形势下，两国在维护世界和平、促进共同发展方面，也拥有广泛的共同利益。
Over the past 39 years since China and the United States established diplomatic relations, China-U.S. relations have achieved historic progress, and the relationship has delivered real benefits to the American and the Chinese people. Given the current international landscape in terms of maintaining world peace and stability and promoting global prosperity, China and the United States share extensive common interests.
我担任过驻美国大使，我的体会是，双方的共同利益远大于分歧，合作是双方唯一正确的选择。
I had served as the Chinese ambassador to the U.S., and from my experience, I truly believe that there are far more common interests between us than differences, and cooperation is the only right option for both countries.
我先讲一讲这个中美关系中的经贸关系。中美经贸关系本质上是互利共赢的，两国的贸易体量可以说巨大。去年中美两国双边贸易额 超过了5800亿美元，所以存在一些摩擦，不足为怪。
Well, let me first talk about the economic and trade relations between China and the United States. Such trade and economic relations is mutually beneficial by nature, and China-US two-way trade has reached such a level that last year the total trade was more than $580 billion. So for such a big relationship, it is natural that there are some frictions.
中方不想同美方打贸易战，但我们绝不会坐视中国的利益受到损害。
China does not want a trade war with the United States, but if the U.S. takes actions to hurt China's interest, China will not sit idly and will take necessary measures.
处理经贸摩擦的正确办法，应该是对彼此开放市场，做大合作的蛋糕，通过对话协商，找到双方都能接受的解决方案。在过去的2天呢，中美双方就两国经贸问题举行了磋商，双方同意近期继续在北京就有关问题进行沟通，为两国下一步深入合作创造条件。
In my view, the right approach to address trade disputes is to open up market to each other and make the pie of cooperation bigger and work together to find solutions acceptable to both sides through dialogue and consultation. For the past couple of days, China and the United States had consultation, and the two sides agreed to continue with communication in Beijing in the upcoming period, so as to create conditions for the deepening of bilateral cooperation.
中美两国的社会制度、历史文化发展阶段有别，双方在一些问题上存在不同看法，甚至分歧，是正常的。但这些不同分歧并不必然导致对抗。
China and the United States are different in terms of social system, history, culture, and development stage. So we don't always see eye to eye with each other on every issue, and that is only natural. But such differences may not necessarily lead to confrontation between the two countries.
关键的是双方要客观、准确地看待对方的战略意图，把握好两国关系的发展方向。如果基于错误的判断或者假设来制定政策，将会损害两国关系，带来双方都不愿意看到的后果。
It is important for both sides to perceive each other's strategic intentions correctly and with a fair mind, and keep to the right direction of China-US relations. Policies informed by misjudgment or wrong presumption will hurt the relations and bring about consequences that neither side would want to see.
中方愿意同美方一道，认真落实习近平主席和特朗普总统北京会晤达成的重要共识和成果，坚持相互尊重，增进战略互信，避免战略误判，聚焦互利合作，妥善管控分歧，确保中美关系沿着正确的轨道不断向前发展。谢谢。
China stands ready to work with the U.S. to follow through on the consensus and outcomes reached when President Xi Jinping and President Trump met in Beijing, and work with mutual respect, increase strategic mutual trust, avoid strategic misjudgment, and focus on mutually beneficial cooperation and properly handle differences, so as to keep China-US relations on the right track. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。中区第6排那位男士，中间这位男士。
谢谢主持人。法制日报和法制网记者提问，请问发言人，2018年立法计划有哪些立法项目？5年立法规划大概什么时候编制？另外，现在我国对外开放力度不断加大，外界对制定外资基础性法律很关注，请问我们有没有具体的安排？谢谢。
With Legal Daily, I want to ask you about the legislative priorities for the year 2018 and how are things going with the 5-year legislative plan of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. And also, there has been a lot of attention to the legislation regarding foreign investment as China continues with the opening up policy. Can you share with us the considerations going forward? Thank you.
立法工作是全国人大及其常委会的重要工作。目前呢，初步安排，2018年将制定或者修改20多部法律，包括民法典各分编、有关单行税法等。同时将做好授权决定或改革决定相关工作，加强备案审查制度和能力建设。这个立法工作的计划呢，将在大会后及时公布。
For the National People's Congress, legislative business is its important responsibility. According to the schedule, over 20 pieces of law are to be introduced or revised in 2018, including various books of the Civil Code and sector-specific tax laws. The Standing Committee will also carry out work on authorization and reform decisions. It will continue to enhance record filing review and capacity building in that regard. For the legislative schedule, it will be released in due course after the conclusion of the session.
关于5年的立法规划，这个规划呢正在编制中，将在广泛征求意见、充分研究论证的基础上，形成13届全国人大常委会的立法规划。
Regarding the 5-year legislative plan, it is still in the making, and it will be put to extensive consultation and thorough study before it is adopted by the Standing Committee of the 13th National People's Congress.
为了适应构建开放型经济新体制的要求，全国人大常委会计划将原来的外资3法整合，制定一部新的促进和保护外商投资的基础性法律。
To build new institutions supporting an open economy, the Standing Committee is going to combine the previous 3 foreign investment laws and work on a new basic law on promoting and protecting foreign investment.
主要有以下几点考虑：第一，坚持开放发展，实行互利共赢的战略。
There are some important considerations. First, to pursue open development, mutually beneficial strategy, and high standard trade and investment, liberalization and facilitation.
实行高水平的贸易或投资自由化、便利化政策。第二呢，就是坚持走出去和引进来并举的方针，大幅度放宽市场准入。第三，坚持为外商营造透明、稳定、可预期的投资环境，保障外商合法投资的权益。第四，坚持外商享有国民待遇条件，创造公平竞争的市场环境。谢谢。
Second, to give equal attention to both outbound and inbound investment, and to substantially ease market access. Third, to create transparent, stable, and predictable environment for foreign investors, protect their legitimate rights and interests. And fourth, to provide national treatment to foreign investors and foster a market environment with a level playing field. Thank you.
谢谢，请继续提问。西区第3排这位女士，第3排。
您好，我是中央电视台央视网、央视新闻移动网的记者。我的问题是关于环保的。我们知道污染防治是决胜全面建成小康社会要打的3场攻坚战之一。那我们也已经看到了，自打2015年史上最严环保法实施以来呢，确实有多项环境指标都出现了改善，也让我们看到了法律制度的力量。但是不可否认的是，确实这场攻坚战当中还有很多的硬骨头要啃。所以我就想在这里请问发言人的是，人大接下来打算怎样来继续发力，从立法和监督上为打赢这场攻坚战来助力，会有一些什么样的新作为？谢谢。
With CCTV, we know that the campaign against pollution is one of the 3 campaigns that are critical to build a moderately and a society with initial prosperity in all respects. In 2015, the most stringent environmental protection law was introduced, and as a result, we have seen notable improvements in some of the environmental protection targets. That has really shown the strength of law. But there's no denying that going forward, there are some hard nuts to crack. My question is that how will the National People's Congress do in terms of legislation so that we can finally win the campaign against pollution? Any new steps that are planned forward? Thank you.
感谢你提出这个问题。党的18大以来，在党中央的决策部署下，各级党委和政府、各部门和社会各方面扎实工作，攻坚克难，环保工作取得明显成效。
Well, thank you for your question. Since the 18th Party Congress, under the guidance of the party central leadership, party committees and government at all levels, various departments and across the society have taken solid steps to address the challenges facing the environment, and we have seen visible and notable progress.
说到环保，这个大家都注意到，在过去的几天，北京地区的空气质量确实不太好。但是我想，我们大家都能够感受到，在过去的1年里，北京地区的蓝天白云确实是更多了。
Talking about the environment, I'm sure that we have noticed that for the past couple of days, the air has been smoggy in Beijing. But overall, we do feel that over the past year in Beijing, we do have more days with clear air and blue skies.
12届全国人大常委会每年都把加强环境保护和生态文明建设作为履职尽责的重点方向。立法方面，坚持用最严格的法律制度保护生态环境，先后制定和修改环境保护法、大气污染防治法、水污染防治法、海洋环境保护法、环境保护税法、野生动物保护法等6部重要法律。另外还及时地批准了气候变化、巴黎协定等有关条约，逐步构建起系统配套的环境保护的法律制度。
For the Standing Committee of the 12th National People's Congress, every year for the past 5 years, it has put the environment and ecological conservation high on its agenda. In terms of legislation, the committee had worked to build a most stringent legal system on environment. It enacted or modified 6 pieces of legislation concerning environmental protection, air pollution, water pollution, marine environment, environment tax, and wildlife protection. The Standing Committee also has ratified the Paris Agreement and other treaties in a timely manner. So with all these efforts, a comprehensive legal framework is gradually taking shape.
在监督方面，先后检查了环境领域6部法律的实施情况，听取、审议国务院7个专项报告，运用专题询问、审议整改报告等方式，加强跟踪监督，全面推动环境保护法律制度的有效实施。
Supervision-wise, the Standing Committee had conducted inspections into the implementation of 6 pieces of laws. It had heard and reviewed 7 State Council reports, and it has also carried out inquiries and reviewed improvement reports in order to have continuous and strengthened supervision. All this is to ensure that the laws, once enacted, will be duly enforced.
2018年，全国人大常委会将继续紧盯环保工作不放松，制定《土壤环境防治法》，修改《固体废物污染环境防治法》，审议年度环境状况和环境保护目标完成情况报告，开展《大气污染防治法》、《海洋环境保护法》执法检查，努力为打赢污染防治攻坚战提供坚实的法律保障。谢谢。
This year, in 2018, the Standing Committee will continue to prioritize environment-related work. According to the schedule, the committee will make the law on soil pollution. It will revise the law on solid waste pollution. It will also review the annual environment report and the report on the progress made in meeting relevant targets. It will also conduct inspections to see that the air pollution law and marine environment protection law are effectively enforced. So, in a word, the committee will continue to work hard to provide strong legal support and to make sure that we will win the campaign against pollution. Thank you.
谢谢。最后一个问题，东区第5排那位男士，靠过道的那位男士，靠过道的，哎，没错。
谢谢发言人，我是韩国联合通讯社记者。首先再次感谢给我提问机会。我要问的是关于朝鲜半岛形势的问题。以平昌奥运为契机，朝鲜半岛形势有所缓和，这是非常难得的。平昌奥运后，朝鲜半岛形势会怎么发展？是当前国际社会关注的焦点。请问，中方对半岛形势下步走向怎么看？还有准备做些什么？谢谢。
With UNEP News Agency, thank you for giving me this opportunity. My question is concerning the situation on the Korean Peninsula. As we have seen, the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games has offered an opportunity for the de-escalation in the Korean Peninsula, which is hard won. So how the situation will evolve in the post-game period is something that is closely watched by the international community. So what is China's view on that, on the situation going forward, and what is China prepared to do? Thank you.
谢谢你的提问。一段时间以来，这个朝韩双方围绕平昌冬奥会进行对话合作，半岛形势出现了缓和。我们乐见这种积极的变化，希望各方呢能够抓住有利的机遇，把当前这种缓和的态势延续下去。
Thank you for your question. Well, it is true that recently the DPRK and the ROK have engaged in dialogue and cooperation over the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. And as a result, the situation on the Korean Peninsula is easing. For China, we welcome such positive developments and hope that all parties could seize this opportunity to maintain this good momentum.
可以说朝美是这个 朝鲜半岛问题的主要当事方。如果把朝韩关系和朝美关系，比作两个轮子的话，我们希望朝韩关系这个轮子能够继续转下去，希望朝美关系这个轮子能够尽快的转起来。也就是说，我们希望看到朝美双方能够尽早启动对话。
It is fair to say that the DPRK and the United States are the two main players to the Korean Peninsula issue. If we say that the North-South relations and the DPRK-US relations are two wheels, it is our hope that the wheel of North-South relations could keep moving forward, and that the DPRK-US relations could get going as early as possible. So that is to say, we hope to see early dialogue between the DPRK and the United States.
我们注意到最近，朝美双方都做出了一些积极的表态。
We have noted that recently both the DPRK and the United States have made some positive statement.
中国在半岛问题上的立场是一贯的、明确的，就是我们坚持实现半岛无核化，坚持维护半岛的和平稳定，坚持通过对话协商解决问题。半岛生战生乱，不符合任何一方的利益。
China's position on the issue of the Korean Peninsula has been consistent and clear-cut. That is, China is committed to denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, its peace and stability, and to the efforts of seeking a dialogue and consultation-based solution. In our view, instability or conflicts on the Korean Peninsula would serve no one's interest.
中方将同有关各方保持密切的沟通，根据双暂停倡议和双轨并行的思路，进一步加大劝和促谈，使这个力争通过政治外交手段解决朝鲜半岛问题。谢谢。
China will continue to have close communication with various parties and work on the suspension for suspension proposal and also the dual-track approach. China will continue to step up efforts to facilitate negotiation and will work hard for a political and diplomatic solution to the issue of the Korean Peninsula. Thank you.
谢谢大家。
Thank you very much.
新闻发布会到此结束。谢谢发言人，谢谢大家。
This concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much.
That was the first press conference held by the 13th National People's Congress. The NPC's new spokesperson, Mr. Zhang Yuesui, released the official agenda of this year's session, and he also answered 11 questions from media from China and around the world. Topics ranged from constitutional amendment, national supervision law, reform on China's state institutions, diplomacy, defense, to the Belt and Road Initiative, domestic taxation and environmental protection. We'll have more insight into those topics later with our guests. But now let's take a closer look at new NPC spokesperson, Mr. Zhang Yuesui. Zhang was born in Hubei province in central China in October 1953. He graduated from the London School of Economics and Political Science. He works as a staff member and then attaché at the Chinese Embassy in the UK. Zhang has worked at the Foreign Affairs Ministry since 1982 and became Executive Vice Minister in 2012. He also worked as Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the United Nations from the year 2008 to 2009. Zhang's areas of responsibility also include Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan-related affairs. Now, for more insight into the topics discussed at the first press conference of the 13th NPC, let's talk to Professor Zhao and Mr. Lehman. Again, as we just discussed, China's constitutional amendment, the upcoming national supervision law, and the reform on the state institutions have attracted a lot of attention during the press conference. Professor, what's the legislative logic behind all those moves, and what does that tell about China's building of rule of law?
Well, for this the Congress, that will be, about the Constitution. That's the basic, and then, well, to make all the laws like constitutions, like the Communist parties, the rules, so we'll be together. So that's the match each other. Then maintain and enhance the leadership, and for our long-term objectives. And also, we have lots of laws will be in the next 5 years. There will be legislated and also will be amended. So that's also improve the socialist system with the law of the rules of laws, and actually the government for the reform of government institutions, that will be much better and more efficient to implement these laws, and for the further development, and also foster the social development and also the economic development.
Mr. Lehman, let's talk about the upcoming National Supervision Commission. According to the NPC spokesperson, he called it an anti-corruption institution with Chinese characteristics. What's your understanding of that description?
First of all, I have to say that the selection of him, but in particular, is very enlightening. I mean, he was in the United States, studied at LSE, and I think that this kind of understanding is going to be a bit like the adaptation in Hong Kong, where they've got this corruption group in each area that will be in the provincial and otherwise. So it's going to actually meld together, which is very difficult, I think, for people to understand, both the laws, policies, and regulations in the judicial system, as well as, I would imagine, rolling out this anti-corruption drive, which has gone on from 2013, but has been really limited to the party. And I think that this is going to be party-driven, but it's also going to integrate in business and in mafia and other types of things that have been problematic around the country. So this is a huge country, 976 million square kilometers and 1.4 billion people. So it's an ambitious project, but I think it's ushering in a new era, and that's why I think we see this Xi Jinping new thought, which is a new era in trying to move forward from different. And again, we've seen that with Deng Xiaoping in 1999. His thought was brought in, and now we've got Xi Jinping. So I think it's fantastic.
What's your take on this, Professor?
Well, actually, this is for the further development, and also this is much more widely for this national supervision, and to convene, bring together both the party roles and also the state. So that will be harmonized and integrated the system.
Right, so many foreign journalists have paid a lot of attention to China's defense budget, diplomacy, and also the spokesperson spent quite a lot of time talking about China-US ties. He says that cooperation is the only way out for the two countries, and if the United States wants a trade war, China will respond, but the trade war is the last option. What's your take on this?
Well, actually, it's the correct time for the Sino-US, relations, especially for trade relations. But we look at this is not just China-US, and it's the US and the world. And for the multilateral trading system, so while in the crossroad, and with China, maybe will be a argument for that, since President Trump has his ideas. He's the American first, and so we know that it's the hard time for this. But actually, we should have take a long vision and to be more wisely to see the world economy. Well, something you have some problem. Yes, it's a problem. The trade imbalance, and also, but you cannot dam the trade. But it's something called by technology. But actually, you cannot condemn technology. But trade. Actually, this is where the trade is argument. And Well, there's some issues. These are thematic issues. These are the distributions of the benefits of the trade. So I don't think closed door is the choice for the future.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be getting back to you soon. Now let's look forward to this year's NPC session. The first session of the 13th National People's Congress, China's top legislature, is on Monday and will continue until March the 20th. Apart from reviewing special documents, including a government work report, NPC deputies will deliberate on a draft revision to China's constitution, draft supervision law and a reform plan for state council institutions. They will also elect and decide on members of state organs. As we just mentioned, the first session of the 13th National People's Congress will open on Monday. The NPC has held a media briefing, as we just brought it to you live, covering key issues to be discussed over the next 2 weeks. Zhao Yunfei has more details.
Representing all walks of life, about 3,000 deputies from around the country will have their voices heard during the 13th National People's Congress. Ahead of the gathering, NPC spokesperson Zhang Yesui briefed the media on the significance of this year's session.
13届全国人大
The first session of the 13th NPC will see the election of new government officials. This important meeting takes place as we kick off the efforts to put to action the guiding principles from the 19th Party Congress, celebrate the 40th anniversary of China's reform and opening up, and face a critical moment in the decisive state of building a modernly prosperous society in all respects and in the 13th five-year plan. This NPC session will be a big event in the political life of the Chinese people.
Every year, deputies bring up motions to the Congress and make many important decisions on law. This year will feature changes to the Constitution. Zhang says the Constitution provides the fundamental legal guarantee for China's opening up.
为更好发挥宪法
For the Constitution to better play its critical role, appropriate changes need to be made, so that the innovative achievement that the party and people have made in terms of theories, practices and institution building will be incorporated into the Constitution.
Reporters also focused on China's defense budget. Zhang says China believes national defense needs to be adjusted in tandem with the economy.
无论从国防预算
If we take a look at the share of China's defense budget in China's GDP or in China's national fiscal funding and also in per capita term, we can see that China's defense input is still lower than major countries. China is committed to a path of peaceful development, and China pursues a defense policy that is defensive in nature. China's development will not pose a threat to other countries.
China's National People's Congress is the nation's top legislature and the highest organ of state power. Every year, the NPC holds a plenary session. 2,980 deputies from across the country have been elected for this year's session. They are representatives of various communities, including farmers and workers. 15% are from ethnic minorities, 25% are women. The tenure of NPC members is 5 years, making 2018 an election year, as deputies of the 12th NPC end their terms. Zhao Yunfei, CGTN, Beijing.
And now let's cross live to our correspondent Sean Kellips in Beijing. He's been following China's political season very closely. Sean, what's your feeling about covering the two sessions as a foreign reporter?
You know, it's actually great to talk to you from here in China. Usually I'm across the pond, as they say, in Washington, D.C. And it is great also to hear the experts as well as our reporters talk about what the officials at NPC are saying, the upcoming session, how important it's going to be, of course, the constitutional changes and the new faces coming into the government. It's very important to dissect those, hear from those officials. But from our standpoint, being an international reporter coming here, it's also good to come and have the news emanate from Asia. What I mean by that is so many nations, the United States, most of Europe, they get their news from Western sources. So the fact that we are here reporting from an Asian standpoint is certainly going to help our viewers understand what's going on here. And while we talk about the constitutional change, of course that's getting a great deal of attention, especially internationally, you have to think about what is going on here in China and how it is affecting the rank and file, the 1.4 billion people in this nation. There has been a tremendous tremendous effort over years to sort of raise up the level of the middle class here, to lift hundreds of millions of people out of abject poverty. And so those are the people watching very closely what's going on at two sessions, because the platforms and the policies and the changes made there are going to have a significant impact on them. And think about it, a growing middle class, they're paying more, they're spending more, they want more from their government. If you look behind me, you can see the haze that frequently hangs over Beijing. If you look at the weather app, it frequently tells you very hazardous weather right now. And people want better environment, they want better air, and they want to have a better standard of living, and that's something that the government is, of course, keen to. And those are the things that we've kind of been looking into. I had a chance to go to the northeast, to the city of Beijing, which, of course, everybody in China knows is the big foundation for oil within this nation, but that oil has a limited supply. And with the depressed economic region up there, a province that is lagged behind other provinces within China, people are looking to the future. How are they going to have industry up there as well? We also got to drive a few hours out of Beijing to a ski resort, which is going to be packed in the next 4 years as Beijing gets ready to host the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. It's a very exciting time there. It's the kind of effort that is going to make it, of course, more well-known internationally, and also be an economic spike, if you will. So those are the kind of things we've been talking to regular people, hear what they say, what their hopes and aspirations are as two sessions prepares to kick off, albeit the Great Hall tomorrow. So it's a very exciting time for me, and I'm looking forward to hearing how what we talked to with the everyday folks, how that with the government officials, and we'll be able to tell you exactly what people here in China are thinking and hoping.
Well, looking forward to that, Sean. Our correspondent Sean Killips in Beijing. And for more on just the concluded first press conference of the 13th NPC, let's cross live to our reporter Hona in central Beijing. She just attended this press conference. Hona, give us a major takeaway.
Right, Pandang, I think you and the studio guests have already seen the brand new debut of the 13th NPC spokesperson, Minister Zhang Yesui. He is the Vice Foreign Minister and served as the permanent representative and Chinese ambassador to the United Nations and the Chinese ambassador to the United States. Well, compared with his predecessors, Fu Ying and Li Zhaoxing, I think personally he's like more humble and down-to-earth style of when he is communicating with the reporters. He answered 11 questions from both domestic and international journalists, and ranging from the first question goes to the amendment to the Constitution and institutional reform, anti-corruption, China's National Supervisory Commission, and also how to comment on the China's proposed One Belt and One Road initiative, as well as some international affairs as the current situation in the Korean Peninsula. I think what impresses me most is when he answered some questions from CNN. He quoted his own personal experiences that when he served as a Chinese ambassador to the United States, he said he thought China and the U.S. has definitely much more common ground than differences. China would not post any trade war with the United States, but China would take necessary measures if the U.S. take proactive measures to China. Well, in just 1 hour and 1.5 hours time, he answered very sharp questions from the media. And when talking about China's national defense budget, although he didn't see a specific figure, but he said if you take a look at the share of China's defense budget in China's GDP, it is still relatively very low compared with other major countries. Well, China has seen constrained its national defense budget in the past 2 consecutive years. In 2016, it's 7.6% increase, and in 2017, it's 7% increase. This year, though, we didn't see a specific figure yet, but definitely we can. We will get more information when the NPC is closed in about 2 weeks. Well, definitely, I would like to see that when he talked about China's anti-corruption body, the China National Supervisory Commission, he used this word, he used this adjective to describe it as the Chinese, it is a national China's anti-corruption body with distinctive Chinese features. There are some other questions from the international media on the constitutional amendments, but he said people will learn more about the details of the amendment as the session going on. So that's what I have seen from the press conference. Now I'll have to leave it there because now it's time for me to go. Back to you.
Thank you very much, our reporter Hona at Great Hall of the People in central Beijing. For more insight into topics raised at the NPC press conference, let's talk to our studio guest. Let's start with China's diplomacy. The spokesperson has made it very clear that China will not input foreign experience or models, nor will China export its own development model. What do you make of that, Professor?
Well, this is also a big concern for the international community, and back to the 40 years China experience, China has made a great achievement for. We develop in our way, and that will meet China's conditions, and also that we maintain the stability. So the figures of the China's economic development. So that gave some alternative or some. Something interest to the world, lots of countries, especially some different countries, they seek for the development, and they have struggled and try to find the right way for the development. So for China, based on our experience, we can share our experience, and so just as the President Xi mentioned, China will not import the model, which you cannot have one single things to for all industry, and also China will not export. That will since different countries has different situations, different culture, different history. So it's more about mutual understanding and cooperation. That brings us to the implementation of the Belt and Road Initiative. What's your take on the progress?
I think it's fantastic. As a matter of fact, they've got the support of the AIIB, which is the Asian International Infrastructure Bank, and that I think that's going to be the catalyst for economic growth. To keep it at 6.9% myself. They're going to be able to raise bonds. They want to alleviate poverty by 2020. That's right around the corner. You've got 30 million people that are still under the line, but 68 million people have gone into the middle class in the last 10 years, and it's been doubled, I think, the income. So, it's ambitious. Remember that the folks from CNN, the people who are asking that question, don't necessarily reflect the idea of the United States. And I think to a certain extent, the questions that were asked by Reuters and CNN were looking through a different lens about increase in military. And the answer was logical. That obviously military has become a completely different thing for the United States, for China, for all country. China is not looking as a colonial power at all. It's looking to be able to economically take care of 1.4 billion people and then try to do it in a safe way while moving around the globe. So I think it's doing a fantastic job, and I think that that was witnessed by today. And the gentleman is glib and good and put together for this role.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Lehman and Professor Zhao Zhongxiu. You're watching a special live coverage on CGTN on China's political season. Stay with us.